Today we are discussing the Torah portion of Chayei Sarah. The verse teaches us that Abraham wanted to buy the double cave, the Ma'arat HaMachpelah, the, the cave which was Machpelah doubled. Rashi explains that the word double is used because it was a structure, which literally means a house, with an upper story, with an attic. In other words, it would seem that it was two caves, one above the other. This leaves us with a number of questions. Number one, to say that a cave is doubled does not mean that it has two stories. It could just as easily mean a room within a room. It could be a room behind a room. Question number two, the word double applies to one thing which is divided into two. According to Rashi's explanation, we're talking about two totally separate rooms. There are even more difficulties. Number three, Rashi uses the word house or structure. This would seem to be the very opposite of the word cave. A cave is underground and a house is above ground. Rashi continues with a second explanation. The word double implies that it was doubled with couples. Rashi previously told us that Adam and Chava, Avraham and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka, and Yaakov and Leah were, or rather would be, eventually buried there. This also leaves us with a difficulty. Rashi commented on the four couples when the verse called the town Kiryat Arba, Arba meaning four, the town of four. The verse was speaking prophetically of the four couples that would ultimately be buried there. Here, though, Abraham was dealing with the Hittites and with Ephron. They did not even know that Adam and Chava were already buried there. Had they known, they would have charged even more money for the field. They already, as it was, they charged an outrageous price. They would have charged even more if they knew how valuable it was, because Adam and Eve were both buried there. Some commentaries explain that the cave had room for four couples. This is also problematic. If the great advantage of this cave is that it can hold so many people, why call it the doubled cave? It should be called by a name that shows that it can hold 8 people. If that was the advantage, if that was the good point about this cave, then that's what it should say. We are left with several other questions. Why does Rashi need to give us two explanations? We know that always when Rashi gives two explanations, the first one leaves something over which isn't quite clear, so therefore he gives the second explanation. However, the first explanation is closer to the actual meaning in Pshat, in the simple explanation of the Torah. Why does he need two explanations here? Number two, why does Rashi need to explain the reason for a place's name? He does not explain most names in the Torah. Most of the names of places in the Torah are just their names, nothing more. A bit further on, it says, the field of Ephron, which was in the Machpelah. From this we see that the entire area, not just the cave, was called Machpelah. It seems that there is no reason for Rashi to explain the name whatsoever, because it's the cave in the area which was called Machpelah, in the field which was called Machpelah. So why is it necessary for Rashi to explain that? The explanation of all of these questions is as follows. Because the Torah first discusses the doubled cave and then uses the expression doubled to refer to the entire field, it must be referring to both the cave and the area and the field. Therefore, Rashi says that it means a house on the field with an attic. There was a house over there, separate from the cave. The house what that Rashi is talking about doesn't mean the cave, and this house had a second story. Therefore, everything in that field was called machpelu, was called doubled because of the house which was there. Rashi also finds it necessary to give a second explanation because that does not seem to have anything to do with the cave. Why do we specify the double cave? When Avraham told Ephron that the cave had doubled couples, he wasn't talking about the 4 couples who would ultimately be there. He wasn't talking about Avram and about Adam and Chava and Avram and Yitzchak, etc. He was talking about himself and his wife. He was buying a cave, a burial site for a pair of people, for a couple, for himself and his wife. He wasn't talking about, Ephron wasn't a prophet. He didn't know who was buried there and who would be buried there. That's not what Abraham meant. As we have discussed in the past, Rashi also includes the wine, meaning the mysteries of the Torah. Despite the fact that the simple explanation of everything in the Torah is what Rashi is there to explain, nevertheless he also alludes to, he hints at the mysteries of the Torah. The Zohar says that hamachpela means a double hay. Ha-machpela. Machpela means doubled, and hamachpela means the letter hay is doubled. Where do we find 2 hays? We find 2 hays in the name of God. The first or higher hay, and the second or lower hay. God's name is spelled first Yud, and then there's the letter Hey, which is the higher hay, and then comes the letter Vav, and last comes the letter Hey again, the lower hay, the second hay. Teshuvah is the Hebrew word which is translated as repentance. However, that's not really an accurate translation. It actually means returning, which in one sense is returning to our true selves, to who we really are. Shuvah can be read as Tashuv Hey, by returning the hay. By doing teshuvah, we raise the hay in our godly soul, because our soul, created in the image of God, has this hay also, to the higher hay which is contained in God's name. Thank you very much.